This upcoming Tuesday, November 3rd, is Election Day here in the United States. Pretty soon, people all over the country will be flocking to the polls, voting for who they want as President of the United States. Now, a lot of people have already submitted their ballots, whether it be through absentee voting or doing early voting, like a lot of people have been doing recently. And I certainly encourage you to go out and vote. Let your voice be heard. Take this responsibility seriously as a Christian citizen of this nation. Let your elected officials know what you want. Now, I suppose it's probably real easy to respect the person that you voted for. But with every election, we know that there is the very real possibility that the person that we voted for may not get elected. And if that happens, what do we do? How do we respond? Well, I suppose the easy thing to do would be to dismiss the election results, disrespect the newly elected official, insult the people who voted for that person, and cry out crazy things like, "Not my president." But is that how God wants us to respond when the election doesn't go our way? Absolutely not. God wants us to respect our leaders, regardless of who they are, regardless of whether we voted for them or not. The Apostle Paul writes in Romans chapter 13, verses 1 and 2, "Everyone must submit themselves to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, he who rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted." God wants us to respect our elected officials, whether we voted for them or not. Now, it's okay to not always agree with our elected officials. As a matter of fact, there are times where we should not agree with our elected officials, but we still respect them. That's what God wants. So, what exactly does that look like? What does it look like to respect our elected officials even though we may not agree with them? Well, we actually have a couple of really good examples of what that looks like in the Bible. In Daniel chapter 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were ordered by King Nebuchadnezzar to worship a false god. They were told by the king to do this, and they disobeyed. They did not listen to the king because they knew that if they worshiped this false god, they would be breaking God's first commandment of "You shall have no other gods." And so, even when they were questioned by King Nebuchadnezzar himself, they were still respectful. They realized that there was no way they could obey this command of the king, but they still showed him the proper respect. Later on in Daniel chapter 6, Daniel himself faced a similar situation. There was an edict sent out by King Darius that everyone was to pray to him, the king, over the next 30 days. And Daniel knew that, again, this was a clear breaking of God's first commandment, and so he refused. And even when he was questioned by the king why he didn't obey this command, he was still respectful in his words to the king. And so whoever gets elected, whether it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden, whether the person you voted for wins or not, remember that it is God's will that we show them respect and pray for them too. Besides all of this, we remember that Jesus Christ is King, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. God's will is going to be done, and his ministry will move on regardless of who's elected. No elected official and no government system can stop God from accomplishing his desire of bringing souls to heaven. And I pray that all of these truths are a great reminder and a wonderful comfort to you, regardless of what happens this election season. If this devotion has been a blessing to you, please like and share with others. God's blessings to you all.